Okay, thanks. All right. Yeah, I'm impressed, man. Great site, actually. I'm really impressed with the site. I only joined yesterday. Well, actually, a couple of hours ago. I'm actually quite impressed with the interface. It's actually quite a nice site, man. And thanks for the advertisement. I appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I will. I will do. Thanks.
A quick message to all the listeners. There will be a 30-minute Q&A session at the end. If anyone has any questions for Raj, can you please type them in the text chat in this Debate Arena 1, which is located on www.speakerscorner.online. And I promise to read them out at the end of the interview. Please make sure each question has the hashtag SCO in front of the question. And you are free to ask me to repeat any question if I'm not clear.
Okay. Sounds like a police interview.
So let's start. When did you first start to attend Speaker's Corner?
2000 September 2017, and there were reasons why I turned up. I'd been watching Speaker's Corner for, let's just say, around 2 or 3 years prior to that, and I knew about Speaker's Corner, for quite a long time, but I didn't really understand the importance of it until I felt like Speaker's Corner free speech was being under attack, and I thought, it's something that needs to be protected. So yeah, it was in 2017.
Great, thank you. How was your perception of Speaker's Corner changed from your first visit to now?
All right, when I went there, I wasn't originally going there as a speaker. I went in there like most people did. I never had the intention of speaking. I just was put in a situation where I was forced to speak, and I'm a type of person, if I've got to do it, I'll do it. My perceptions changed in terms of because YouTube, obviously, anything on camera only kind of glimpses a small portion of what's going on. So Speaker's Corner is a lot more complicated than the shenanigans that you see on the channels. There's a lot of people talking on the sidelines. So some people that you might perceive to be, people that, you may think are my enemies or something. I actually get on with quite a lot of people there that, if we're on camera, people might perceive us to be something. So I've realized when I went there that my perception of certain people changed as I got there, some for the good, some for the worse, to be honest with you.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for that. What is your end game for visiting Speaker's Corner?
Protecting free speech. That's the main thing. I think free speech is paramount. And if you can't speak at Speaker's Corner, then I think you're doomed in the UK, because it's the one place that, everybody should be able to go down and express their views without threats of violence or, being shut down for whatever reasons. And, on the road, you can't do that, obviously, because there'll be repercussions. But Speaker's Corner is a place you should be able to do it. And it's a place to test free speech as well, whether it's robust or whether it's not. And yeah, so it's an important place for everybody.
Okay, thank you, Raj. What are your opinions on the farmers' protest in India?
Myself personally, obviously, if anyone knows my kind of political views, I'm a Punjab separatist. Some people might call me a Khalistani, but I'm not. Yeah, obviously, I'm against the Indian government on a lot of things, and I think this is one of their biggest blunders. Obviously, Modi and the BJP think they're running the country as some kind of fascist dictatorship, where they can just pass through laws without consulting the common man. So the farmers, I'm 100% behind them. I'm actually doing a piece of artwork as I'm literally like when I'm going to come off the here, where I'm going to be kind of like showing the kind of the issues that the Sikh farmers are facing and how they're dealing with it. Yeah, so I'm totally for the farmers in Punjab. Big them up.
Moderators, can you please mute Sam Jones? Sorry about that, Raj.
Okay.
Raj, you call yourself a free speech absolutist. Would you also call yourself a free speech activist?
I wouldn't say, I used to say free speech absolutist. Now, one of the things about Speaker's Corner, it kind of like tests things that on paper seem quite simplistic, but once it's practice, your kind of views and perceptions of how words can actually affect, people in ways that, I kind of like, I've experienced it as well. So although I'm not saying I'm a free speech absolutist, because obviously incitement to violence or saying certain things that might cause violence, obviously I'm against that. I do feel I am a free speech kind of like activist in the sense that, as much as I disagree with a lot of people's views, I think they have a right to say them. And so, I would support somebody, saying what I'm the type of person I prefer to hear what you really believe. Because then if you truly are right, you should be able to debunk them. Now, when you're trying to curtail free speech, a lot of times it's because your position is weak. So you see like communism, or you see like, certain theocracies, they don't want people to question them because they know if you start questioning, it's like a domino effect. The whole thing will just crumble. So you should be strong enough in your own views to be able to let people express themselves. And if you are right, you should be able to debunk them pretty quickly.
Thank you, Raj. Is there a price for free speech? If so, what price have you paid?
Yeah, I just had the police round right now. So yeah, I have a lot of people threatening me, doxing me, threatening me. So there is a there is a kind of like yeah. I mean, for somebody like myself, yeah, I think I've paid quite a lot in terms of people trying to dox me and really attacking me and stuff like that. But I'm made of sterner stuff. So, I'm made of sterner stuff. Unfortunately, my family aren't. So, as much as strong as I am, when it comes to my family, I think that's the thing that I've had to pay the price for, that because of what I'm saying and because of what I believe in about, whatever it is, especially my free speech, it does have an effect on other people that have got nothing to really do with it, that are like your loved one. Because I've realized that most people are very weak. So they can't attack me as a man, and they've tried, but they know I have my vulnerability. So what they'll do, as the cowards they are, they'll attack the vulnerable, the old, and the young in order to try and shut you down. So yeah, that's the kind of price I think I've paid. Yeah.
Thank you, Raj. That's great. What are your opinions on the farmers' protest in India?
Myself personally, obviously, if anyone knows my kind of political views, I'm a Punjab separatist. Some people might call me a Khalistani, but I'm not. Yeah, obviously, I'm against the Indian government on a lot of things, and I think this is one of their biggest blunders. Obviously, Modi and the BJP think they're running the country as some kind of fascist dictatorship, where they can just pass through laws without consulting the common man. So the farmers, I'm 100% behind them. I'm actually doing a piece of artwork as I'm literally like when I'm going to come off the here, where I'm going to be kind of like showing the kind of the issues that the Sikh farmers are facing and how they're dealing with it. Yeah, so I'm totally for the farmers in Punjab. Big them up.
Moderators, can you please mute Sam Jones? Sorry about that, Raj.
Okay.
Raj, you call yourself a free speech absolutist. Would you also call yourself a free speech activist?
I wouldn't say, I used to say free speech absolutist. Now, one of the things about Speaker's Corner, it kind of like tests things that on paper seem quite simplistic, but once it's practice, your kind of views and perceptions of how words can actually affect, people in ways that, I kind of like, I've experienced it as well. So although I'm not saying I'm a free speech absolutist, because obviously incitement to violence or saying certain things that might cause violence, obviously I'm against that. I do feel I am a free speech kind of like activist in the sense that, as much as I disagree with a lot of people's views, I think they have a right to say them. And so, I would support somebody, saying what I'm the type of person I prefer to hear what you really believe. Because then if you truly are right, you should be able to debunk them. Now, when you're trying to curtail free speech, a lot of times it's because your position is weak. So you see like communism, or you see like, certain theocracies, they don't want people to question them because they know if you start questioning, it's like a domino effect. The whole thing will just crumble. So you should be strong enough in your own views to be able to let people express themselves. And if you are right, you should be able to debunk them pretty quickly.
Thank you, Raj. Is there a price for free speech? If so, what price have you paid?
Yeah, oh, I just had the police round right now. So yeah, I have a lot of people threatening me, doxing me, threatening me. So there is a pace to, there is a kind of like a, yeah. I mean, for somebody like myself, yeah, I think I've paid quite a lot in terms of people trying to dox me and really attacking me and stuff like that. But I'm made of sterner stuff. So I'm made of sterner stuff. Unfortunately, my family aren't. So as much as strong as I am, when it comes to my family, I think that's the thing that I've had to pay the price for. That because of what I'm saying and because of what I believe in about, whatever it is, especially my free speech, it does have an effect on other people that have got nothing to really do with it, that are like your loved one. Because I've realized that most people are very weak. So they can't attack me as a man, and they've tried, but they know I have my vulnerability. So what they'll do, as the cowards they are, they'll attack the vulnerable, the old, and the young in order to try and shut you down. So yeah, that's the kind of price I think I've paid. Yeah.
Thank you, Raj. That's great. Do you think Speaker's Corner could exist in the exact same way in India?
Whoa, God. All right. It depends on the place in India, because obviously people think of India as one kind of like homogenous group of people, but it's the same as like Europe. They may all look white, but they're all different, and certain countries have different temperaments and stuff like that. Now in certain places I think you could have it. I think in somewhere like Gujarat, because the Gujaratis are quite mild mannered. If you used to try and put that in the Punjab, I think there'll be sticks flying and let's just say people's heads being lobbed off all over the place. I'm not literally, but yeah, it would be pretty fiery. So uh the police will be in. I mean, the police in India are not what there are in the UK. So I think if you started saying stuff, you'd probably get a stick to the head within a second. So I don't think it would work in India per se. But there could be a form of speaker's corner there, but it would have to be heavily regulated. They probably have armed guards there or something. I don't know. It wouldn't be like it is in the UK, no.
Oh, thank you, Raj. That's brilliant. Raj, you seem to critique one particular religion than any other. Can you explain why that is?
It's not that I want to critique. Obviously, we can say the word Islam. The issue I have is that the actions of the group of people from the bad apples. Remember, I'm not saying Muslims. The bad apples, a small percentage, maybe like 2 or 3%. Their behavior has a knock-on effect on Sikhs directly, because the Sikhs are also a visible minority that, when something happens like after 9/11 or stuff like this, the Sikhs get the brunt of it as well. I use the analogy like the Sikhs and the Muslims. It's a bit let's just say the bad Muslims. The Sikhs are like, two twin brothers. And imagine one brother is the Muslim community, and the other brother is the Sikh community. Now, one brother is trying their best to do what they are going to do, working hard and stuff like that. And the other brother is a little bit naughty. But every time the good brother goes out, he gets mistaken for the other brother and gets the stick. And I feel like that's how I've felt. That, because I've seen, after that's why I went in 2017, because there was 3 terrorist attacks just in that year, and the grooming epidemic and stuff like that. So as much as I don't want the Muslim community to get backlash and stuff, I think the Sikh community has a right to be able to distinguish themselves and say, okay, we don't want that group to get hurt, but also we are not part of that group. And anything that's happening from their bad apples, we are not associated with that in any way. And obviously, I got nephews. 2 of my nephews are what's called Amrit, which is baptized, and both of them, got turbans, like round turban and long beards. And so I worry for their safety in the long run in terms of that. And it might sound quite selfish, because it sounds like I'm saying I want another group to get attacked, so I'm going to distinguish myself. But I think everybody has a right to say, okay, as much as we don't want the other person to get attacked because of what their bad apples are doing, we have nothing to do with that group. We're a separate group of people with a different mindset, different religion, and different ideology and different culture. And yeah, that's kind of my stance on that. That's why I do when I went Speaker's Corner, I kind of wanted to highlight that by visibly, in a way, critiquing certain things to show people, okay, well, why is this Sikh guy? Remember, I'm a bad Sikh. I don't classify myself as a good Sikh. I'm not a good representation of religiously. But why is this Sikh guy so vocal against this? And then what I wanted is people to sort of like ask the question, all right, he's a Sikh guy, so he's against this. Oh, who are the Sikhs? You know, I wanted them to open the question. I didn't want to be the representation of Sikhs, though, in that sense, religiously. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. Thank you. Can you list all the main religions in order of your preference?
I look, as a Sikh, I have a kind of open kind of mindset, and Sikh should, that, you know, there's lots of paths to God. I've spoken to people that, you know, are from different, like, I mean, Rastafarians, Druids, and all this kind. And that's a form of religion and stuff like that. And I can see good points in there. I say, I'm sorry to troll a bit, but I'm not trolling, but it's a bit like, you know, a motorway, and all the religions are on the motorway, towards God. It's like one path towards God. But the Sikhs are in the, let's say, the F1 McLaren, the most expensive, most fastest, on top of that, the most luxurious one. And we're literally speeding down in style. And then other religions might be in a BMW, but they're still going to get there. They're just not going to get there as fast. And some of them might be on a skateboard. It might take them ages. I'm not going to say which one. So in terms of thingy, obviously it's going to be Sikhism as number one. And that's not because I'm born Sikh. I'm not somebody that just follows a religion for no thing. I've come to the conclusion it's the most common sense to me. I would say secondly, I do like Buddhism. I think Buddhism is quite a good religion. It's a bit confusing sometimes. Christianity, and then I remember the rest. Oh, Judaism, and obviously, I don't want to say the thing. And obviously, you know, you go further than Hinduism, and Islam is probably lower down, depending on the sect. Now, if you're talking about Sufism, Sufi Islam, it'll be higher up. But if I'm taking the whole religion as a whole, it would probably be near the bottom. But if you're taking about Sufism itself, I'd raise that up to like third or fourth.
Okay, thank you for that, Raj. If you were not born a Sikh, which religion would you have chosen and why?
Oh, I wasn't born a Sikh. What religion? I think maybe Christianity. I probably would have been a Christian, I think. I mean, not in terms of how I see heaven and hell. I think Jesus Christ as a role model, because obviously, you know, the kind of like the lead, or let's just say the head of a religion tends to personify what that faith is about. So for the Sikhs, you know, we have the Gurus, and so, you know, they've shown us, you know, this is how you should behave. And if I was to look at Jesus by himself, forget about all the concept of heaven and hell and all this kind of stuff, because I don't agree with that. I would say Jesus Christ as a role model, as a person, would be somebody that, you know, I would want to emulate. So yeah, probably Christianity up to that point. Yeah.
That's great, Raj. Would you change your religion if the potential outcome of doing so was world peace?
Why change my religion? Oh wow, that's a good question, man. I would say this, that I think my gurus would say, Raj, you know, for world peace, you know, forget about us and think about the bigger picture. And so I wouldn't do it because I wanted to, as opposed, because obviously I think my guru, you know, I believe me, I think they would want me to do it. So I would do it because they want me to do it. So yes, I would if I had to. If everybody could be happy, and everybody would be, you know, and there'll be no war, famine, or stuff like that, then yeah, I think the gurus. I'm not saying I would. I think the gurus would tell me to do it.
Thank you, Raj. Recently, you accused a fellow Speaker's Corner attendee who goes by the name of Respect as advocating pedophilia via child marriage. Can you please explain how this came about?
First of all, I have to clarify. I'm not saying he's the main person saying it, but he is somebody that I believe is co-signing, or let's just say at the minimum, he's trying to protect people that are close associated with him, who have really, really dangerous stuff, in my opinion, about, you know, children as 9 years old, because they've hit puberty, they're now adults, and they can therefore do what adults do, including everything. So if you're an adult, it encompasses everything. You can't say you're an adult but pick and choose what an adult does. An adult, yeah, can do everything, and that includes one of the most, let's just say, the most controversial part, which is having sexual relationships. And so, yeah, he's co-signed that in the sense that he has people on his panels, close friends of his, people that, even yesterday he had a guy called Nin Cullis who has said the most outrageous stuff. I know he's friends with other people called Reactionary, another guy, Ali Dawa, and all of these people. So, yeah, I wouldn't say he's a nonce. I think he truly believes it's wrong, but because of his association and his religious stance, he can't say outright. And to me, that's a coward's way out.
That's great. Thank you, Raj. If we arranged a debate between you and Respect on our platform, would you take the challenge?
Dude, I would love to do that. The biggest problem I have with Respect here, and I'm gonna sorry for my language, he's a pussy. He's a coward, and I'll tell you why he's a pussy and a coward. Is because he has a platform called the Lion's Den, which he says is a place where you can go in and talk to him, but he won't allow you to talk. So what he would do is every time you make a point and he feels like you're getting the better of him, he would then chuck you in the back chat, or he will mute you, or he'll get loads of people and they're attacking you. So yeah, if you can arrange that, I will ravage him on it. I'll show how weak he is. Respect, you're a weak man. I will crush you like a cockroach. If we ever had an equal platform, you wouldn't be able to even say anything to me, because by the time I finish with you, you'd probably be crying like a little boy and in a fetus position. So yeah, do it, and I'll definitely would love to.
Thank you, Raj. We'll try our best to get this debate up and running for you. Sorry, go on.
I said, get him on here, man, because I've been wanting to have an equal debate with him, but he doesn't go on any other platforms because he's very he's a coward, basically.
Just to remind all listeners, if anyone has any questions for Raj, can you please type them in the text chat on our platform here, and I shall read them out at the end of the interview. The website is www.speakerscorner.online.
Can I just, am I allowed to have a copy of this so I can put this on my channel?
Let me come back to you, Raj, at the end. I'll reach out to you and then I can let you know.
Okay, thanks.
Can we please ensure all questions for Raj begin with the hashtag SEO? Raj, you have been the subject of a number of death threats and online personal attacks against you and against members of your family. How do you cope with such negativity?
All right. It's weird because, like, I've always been an outsider. I've always been what you might consider to be an oddball. I've always been that person that, is outside of the group. So for me, it's not, hard for me. Obviously when you're younger, it's a bit more difficult, but as I've got older and older, like, it doesn't really affect me like other people. And I know it's hard. I mean, I get so much attacks. Like, I find it quite funny, as long as it's not personal towards my family. And it's only when it starts hitting the family that, yeah, it does get more difficult. But I've got to start, what I do with myself is that I have to realize that most of these people are cowards. These people are people that if I really saw in real life, and I have met some of them, they've said they've seen me, but they don't say nothing. So to me, that shows they're weak. Yeah, they're weak people, that the only way they can try and shut me down is not to go through me, because they know I'll shut them down, to go through the family and what they consider to be my weakest point. To be honest with you, what happens with me is that the more they attack me and my family, the stronger it makes me in the belief I'm in the right, because I don't go for people's families. If I'm going to attack the man, I'll attack the man, yeah, most of the time. So for me, as much as it's hard for me to hear, and things are like certain things have happened, and even letters being sent to my family and stuff, it makes me realize that the people I'm dealing with are real life demons. And those demons, yeah, they will be destroyed, and I will destroy them. I don't care if it takes 20, 30 years. Obviously, I've got to sacrifice a lot of stuff in terms of having to kind of deal with it, and it's not nice. But I'm kind of weird like that. It doesn't affect me like other people. That's what I've realized over the years. The other day there was a show about me for 8 hours, cussing me out for 8 hours straight. And to be honest, dude, like, didn't really affect me. It's only when they talked about my family and stuff. Other than that, yeah, I'm pretty impervious to it up to a point.
Thank you for that, Raj.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, so far you've received a tip for £6 from our listeners today.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Just to make you aware, I've just been told that yes, we can get you a copy of the video.
Oh, big up, man. And I'll advertise the stream. It's actually a good little stream, actually.
Fantastic. How much of the negativity do you think you bring upon yourself?
I would, if I'm being honest with you, I would say, I mean, I'd have to be like 50-50. Like, I think 50% of it is totally unwarranted. And then 50% of it, although I believe what I'm doing is right, I can't say I'm an innocent party in it, because my kind of style is like a sledgehammer to a nut kind of style. One of the things is that, like when I went Speaker's Corner, I had to make the decision. Do I want to go in there all quiet? Because I didn't go there to talk. But once I realized, and I've got in a position with Adnan Rashid and some of the biggest hitters, and I was then pushed into the limelight, I was like, okay, how do I deal with this? Do I go in there like, hi everybody, yeah, my name's Raj. Please listen to me, guys. Listen to me. And I was like, all right, if I go in there like that as a Sikh, you're one of the only Sikhs there, I'm going to be drowned out and pushed out, yeah, very quick. So for me, I had to go in there real, I want to say aggressive, but in your face. Like, I'm going to like literally say what I'm going to say, and you're going to listen to me. Now, unfortunately, with that, there comes a negativity, because, when I'm saying stuff in a particular way to get my voice out, and it did work, because when I said I'm going to lock up all kind of terrorists and chuck them in Guantanamo Bay and all of this kind of stuff, like, yeah, obviously people are going to hear that. And so as much as, my style works in the sense of getting heard, because that's the main thing, it has the negative of pushing people's buttons. And then some people that, even though some people that, I didn't want to push their buttons, but because they're hearing it, and I'm kind of, sometimes I've said stuff in the past that I regret when I look back now. I can admit that. So yeah, so I would say 50-50. I think my style is very, let's just say, in your face, and that's going to cause reaction.
Thank you for that, Raj. If these attacks against you and your family are because of you exercising your free speech, where does this leave free speech if the likes of you are not pushing for it?
Yeah, I mean, I just had this conversation with the police literally like 2 hours ago, because I was like, all right, because, when I had it was about homophobia, because I got friends that are gay and transgender and that. And although as a Sikh, I don't necessarily agree with certain things, I support their right to live their life without being abused and stuff like that. And, and I've seen a lot of abuse towards these people. So I was speaking to the police, and I was like, okay, maybe, you shouldn't, be so vocal about your support. And I was like, nah. I had to say to him, listen here, should I be penalized for trying to protect somebody else's free speech? And when I'm doing that, I'm then going to be penalized. And obviously they're like, no, you're right. But the police are kind of in a weird situation where, they're in a rock and a hard place, and I understand where they're coming from. So yeah, I think, yeah, it's a difficult one, to be honest with you. It's a difficult one to kind of like, to get your head around with this one.
Thanks, Raj. We have heard some attendants of Speaker's Corner, such as Mr. RAJ'S, wear stab vests when they attend the park. Is this true, and why do they feel they have to?
Oh, I didn't know Mr. RAJ'S did that. All right, so Speaker's, I mean, I have to say that when I hear that, it sounds a bit silly, but it's not in reality. Like, because there were a couple of guys there that were going around the park, and they were convicted. It's actually a news report, 6, 7, and I knew them as well. They were nasty people that threatened me and threatened my friends, spat on my mate, a guy called Hassan in a McDonald's, and attacked him once that day. And I didn't realize that these guys were walking around the park with knives, stopping people and robbing them. And so maybe Mr. RAJ'S knew more than I knew. And I've heard, certain people getting knife threats and stuff like that. So the knife situation, if anyone's going to get hurt down there, if it's not fist and stuff, it will probably be a knife. So I didn't know he was doing that. but it's up to him if he wants to do it. I have never ever gone down there with any kind of like, as much as it looks like it from my profile picture, that's just clothing. There's nothing in there apart from cloth.
That's fantastic, Raj. Just to make you aware, you've been tipped another £5 by one of the listeners.
All right, thank you guys, thank you. Come on, man, give more though. I'm only joking. Go on.
What do members of your family say about your Speaker's Corner activities?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because, like, they know I'm a very kind of like a vocal person when it comes to politics and stuff. So before I'm in Speaker's Corner, I used to have a lot of arguments with my nephew, who at the time was very on the left. I would call him a lefty snowflake at the time. I've red pilled him pretty hard as much as I could. And so we used to have very heated debates in the house. And to the neighbors, it would sound like we was arguing and fighting, but we wasn't. We was talking. So they don't necessarily like it per se, because obviously it's not, something that they want, but they understand the type of person I am. And, I need to be able to speak. There's two things I need to be able to do. Yeah, like obviously more, but two things that, I feel like I have to be able to draw and do my art, and I have to be able to speak my mind. And both of those keep my sanity. I can't be somebody that, doesn't speak my mind about stuff that I feel is wrong. And so I feel like, it's something that it's like breathing. I've got to do it. And when I don't, I feel restricted, and it does affect my mental health. If I can't express myself. So I think my family understands and weighs up. Is it better Raj goes Speaker's Corner ranting, or Raj is a depressed alcoholic? Because that's what I was before. So somebody used to drink a lot. I haven't drank for 8 years, so big up to myself, man.
That's great, Raj. You had a public fallout with a former friend called Turlachan. He quickly became part of a group of other Speaker Corner attendants who challenged you on and off camera. Why did he go from a friend to an enemy so quickly? What happened?
What's the boundaries on, let's say, vulgar language? Because this is going to get a bit nasty.
Say what's on your mind.
All right, he's a little prick, a nasty individual, one of the worst individuals I've had the misfortune to meet. I call him the Sikh Rasputin. And anyone that knows who Rasputin is, Rasputin was a Russian monk who pretended to be religious, but was going around drinking and shagging everything that moved. And so he's like that. He will go around with this religious, pious persona. And I know him in real life because there's times that, I've had to spend with him and stuff like that. So he's an opportunist as well. He's somebody that knew that I'm a target. And what he did, he sided with people that, call for child marriage and having sex with kids like Ali Dawa. And he didn't confront him about that, but he confronted me. Now, I don't mind Sikhs confronting me. In fact, if somebody turned up to me and they were a genuine person, I would accept their criticism. And if they were what is called a baptized Sikh, or Amrit, I would definitely listen to them if they can show me by their actions how to be a good Sikh. But I'm not going to take advice from a cokehead. I'm not going to take advice from a womanizing cheater. I'm not taking advice from a drunk. And I'm not taking advice from a lustful little midget, a gnome, a deformed kind of like pervert gnome, like the Lochan. And so for me, the reason I fell out with him is because he's fake. And on one thing behind the scenes, obviously I used to chat to him and stuff, and I hanged around with him. I saw everything he did in front of me with my own eyes. And then he'd go into Speaker's Corner. When he had the opportunity, he would attack me. And that's one of the things I hate the most out of things that, like, I hate fake people. Like, if you're, like that, just show me and show the world. Don't do it when no one's there and I'm just there. And when everybody else comes, you don't do it. So, you can see, he's not my favorite person. Let's just say that.
That's great. Thank you, Raj. Just to make you aware, you've just had another £5 tip. Well, £6,
well
actually.
done, guys. Well done, man. You've got a lot of big hitters in there, man. Big up, man.
Why has Hassan disappeared from Speaker's Corner?
Big up to Hassan, man. I think me and Hassan, like, it's weird because Hassan's one of the people that I've spent so much time with, and he's one of the very few people that I just connect with. Like, it's hard for me to connect with people, but I just connect with him. Like when I'm with him, it's just like we've known each other for a long, long time, and Yeah, for me, I think he did the right thing by moving on and concentrating on his life, because the amount of abuse that he got, an amount of kind of vitriol, and he's been physically attacked at Speaker's Corner, which I haven't, which he has outside. Someone punched him and cut his eye. And also he's been spat on in the McDonald's and stuff like that. So for me, I believe, he did the right thing, which is that he's concentrating on himself. And I just saw him the other day after a while, and he looked like, he'd literally reversed his age, and he was like 20 years younger with a nice, haircut, fresh face, rather than looking like a crackhead like he normally did. So big up to him, man. Big up to him. When he comes back, we welcome.
That's great. Thank you, Raj. What is your opinion about PC Barnes?
Wow. All right. So big up to PC Barnes first. PC Barnes, what can I say about PC Barnes? I think he's the best person that, out of all the police officers that I've met for Speaker's Corner. But he is in a rock and a hard place. And this is where I have a problem with him. And sometimes I feel that, he sometimes isn't strict enough on people, kind of using physical force in order to intimidate people. And the police there have a policy, and he's told me this, of the path of least resistance. So I'll give an example. When I was surrounded, by X amount of people, 100 people and stuff, rather than removing the 100 people and warning them, they will remove the person, the one, because it's easier to remove the one than the 100. So it's called the path of least resistance. And that, unfortunately, as a policy that I can understand the logic, because obviously if you look at it logically, it makes sense. It has the negative effect, because then you have people thinking that by behaving like thugs and savages, you can get people removed from the park. So I was removed for my own safety, as you saw on that video. Other people have as well. But, all it really does is send a message out that might is right. And so that's counterproductive. And I've said my piece to PC Barnes. I think, he's overall a pretty good guy. I do sometimes have an issue with him because he'll say one thing to my face, and then I heard he said something else to somebody else. And there's been a couple of times that he's really pissed me off. But other times, I've got a direct call to him, I can phone him like he's Commissioner Gordon and I'm Batman, and all of that kind of stuff. So he's very open to talking, which other officers aren't. So big up to PC Barnes. Obviously, he's not perfect. He's got his faults and stuff, but yeah, he's good overall. I think when he's gone, I think a lot of people are gonna wish he's back, because at the moment, when someone's there, you kind of take them for granted. And I know when he goes, because I've met other officers, it's gonna change a lot, and there's not gonna be none of this, pally kind of, you can chat to the officers like that, like you can with him.
Okay, that's great. What is your opinion about the police policy of removing the victim and not the perpetrators from the park?
Yeah, look, as a logical, if you're just looking at it from a logistical standpoint, it makes sense. I can understand the logic, but unfortunately, although it's logical in terms of resolving a potentially dangerous situation, it's very counterproductive in sending out the wrong message. And, we've seen it plenty of times with myself, we've had to, and people start celebrating that, we've removed them. And, obviously these low IQ morons, with a IQ in not even the single digits, probably the minus, don't realize that, you've removed someone for a day. But if that person wants to come back the next week, they're coming back. So you haven't really won. All you've got is a kind of superficial kind of victory. In reality, there's no victory. But to them, for a short period, I've realized that, to be honest with you, some of the people that are so dumb, they've done the same thing over and over again, and the results are the same. And like Einstein said, if you keep on doing the same thing over and over and the results are the same, and, they're not working, then, you're basically a moron. So they've done the same thing and they keep on doing it. And it happens the same thing. The person gets removed and they're back the next week, stronger than ever. It actually strengthens you as well. When I come back, it makes you sort of like, I'm one of the very few people like Hatun, Tan, and all of these people that have been removed from the park by groups. And so, it actually gives you a bit more of a, badge of honor in a way.
That's great. Thank you for that. What would you like to change in the park?
I think I've made my suggestions before. I think the police need to be more proactive about threats of violence. I think the signposting around Speaker's Corner is very problematic because obviously it's in a big park, and you have lots of tourists, especially from the Middle East, and I can kind of understand why there's problems there because what people don't realize that you were standing in the middle of a park in this little designated area for free speech, but there's no real signposts that it's a free speech area. So somebody that's walking through there, just going from one end of the park to the next, walks through, stops, listens to somebody saying something that could be disrespectful to their prophet or their leader or their political views. And to them, they don't understand they're in a free speech spot. And so they will get upset. And I've seen especially youngsters get upset because they don't know where they are. Like they're like on a bike or something. And then they hear, oh, your prophet said this. And the next thing you know, it kicks off. And so then it needs to be signposted more. I think it needs to be maybe even have some kind of barrier sort of thing, like people open a gate to get into there rather than it being plonked in the middle, and it needs to be kind of not separated, but more what I call kind of like a designated area with this is a free speech area, maybe with bollards and all this. And when you walk in here, you understand that there'll be signposted that you may get offended. If you can't take the offense, then go around another area, take the longer route round.
Thank you for that, Raj. Just to remind all listeners, if anyone has any questions for Raj, can you please type them in the text chat on our platform here, and I shall read them out at the end of the interview. The website is www.speakerscorner.online. Please ensure all questions have hashtag SEO in front of the question. Moving on, Raj. James, Speaker's Corner, and Steve, the atheist, have both accused Adnan Rashid of being a former supporter of ISIS. Adnan Rashid has denied these accusations. What is your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't say he's a supporter of ISIS per se, because the evidence against him was prior to ISIS being formed. But he definitely in the past, and I've got audio, and it's 100% him, but expressed views supporting a guy called Sheikh Faisal, who supported Al Qaeda, supported 9/11, was somebody that was sent to prison and now deported. And we have audio of him supporting him outright, saying people should go to this is in 2003, whatever, to go to the trial and support a guy that is an out and out terrorist. Now, the problem is this, like, people make mistakes in the past, and I've made mistakes. Other people do. Some people are radical at one point and they become de-radicalized. And so if somebody made a mistake like that and then said today, okay, I did say that, but now I'm like this, okay, I would be like, but the biggest problem with Adnan Rashid, he's a liar and an outright fraud. Now, obviously, they'll say, oh, yeah, well, how do you prove that? Well, we have the audio of him. We have people saying they saw him there. We've even had the voice recognition done in it, and it's him. And he's still denying it's him, even though it's 100%. So I have to ask the question, if you can't admit it's you with such clear-cut evidence, then what else are you hiding? Now, the other problem was this. He's one of the guys that was his regular cameraman, somebody that used to film him all the time, and all of this. He was then, me and Steve actually found out, he was also a member of Anjem Chowdhury's crew. And this guy now is in prison for 5 years for promoting terrorism. And this guy was one of his main guys. There is no way, that this guy could have not known that he was, because we even told him that he was. And there's video footage of the guy with Anjem Chowdhury. There's all of this stuff. So, yeah, I have my suspicions about him. Whether he still believes in all that kind of stuff, I don't know. But did he at one point? I believe he did. And the people he's associated with, even to today, are very extreme. Even the guy that he will see as his sheikh, Haytham al-Haddad, he's banned from a lot of countries and stuff like that. And that's Ali Dawa's and his main sheikh or teacher.
Thank you for that, Raj. If we arrange a debate between you and Adnan Rashid on this platform, would you accept?
I would accept But my issue with Adnan Rashid is that he is what you call a master of sophistry, meaning that he will use words and stuff, yeah, and use his kind of vocabulary, and he's kind of like the fact that he's got a lot of dates memorized in order to make it seem as though he is winning. And this is my biggest problem, because I've seen him say the most outrageous stuff that I know are lies. And because of the way he kind of puts his argument forwards, he is very good at that. Will I do that? Yeah, I mean, I don't mind doing that. Yeah, I'll definitely. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm going to crush him, because I would say that as much as I dislike the guy, I would say he does know how to, articulate himself to the point that, he will give me a good run for my money. But I'll prepare I'm going for a boxing match. With respect, like I said, I'll crush him. He's not got a horse's chance. If anyone knows what the horses it is, he's got not a horse chance in that race. So yeah, I will do it. Yeah.
Well, that's great. You have publicly supported Tommy Robinson and have even exchanged telephone numbers with him. Have you ever called him?
No, I didn't. I never called him. I've spoken to him. I met him a few times. Not really, he's got a lot of people that he probably has numbers of and stuff. So I never really called him or anything, but I did get his number and stuff. I was like, all right, give it and stuff. And I'll be honest to you, I knew it was going to trigger people. Like sometimes I'm going to be honest, I did do it. And all right, this is going to be annoying. Like if I had to get his number, and so I was like, all right, let's just do it. Yeah. Cause I knew it was going to kind of like, be something quite controversial. Did I ring it or anything? No. Did I text it? No, I still haven't. No.
Thank you. Do you think Tommy Robinson is racist? And why do you think that?
No, I don't believe Tommy Robinson is racist. I do believe he's a nationalist. I do believe he has... the problem is about racism. The bar is so low now that I fit under that bar. Most people would fit under the bar. If you have any kind of just basic kind of like, normal kind of like what you call kind of... if you say, okay, with that person, yeah, they're obviously, from a culture, they're here or this culture. Like, if you say a culture is bad, you're automatically a racist now. Like, some cultures are bad. I'm not a cultural relativist who believes that, your culture to you and my culture to you. No, if your culture is bad, where you're promoting or you're doing stuff that is stupid, I don't know, like in India, before 300 years to burn their wives after the husband died, that needs to be stopped. I'm not going to say, well, it's your culture, you need to do it. So Tommy Robinson has said stuff that I think, I'm not somebody that's never criticized Tommy Robinson. I've criticized him on quite a few things because I think that in order to make a man grow into a let's say a leader or whatever you need to do, he needs to be criticized, because otherwise you'll make the same mistake again. And I've pointed that out in the past. I think he said some absolutely stupid things. Some of them can be easily misconstrued as being racist, even though I don't personally believe it was from a racist stance. I would say it was more from an ignorance, or maybe coming from anger, and certain things were said in haste.
Thank you, Raj. Why have some members of the Sikh community come out and oppose the conclusion that grooming gangs is not a problem for the Sikh community?
I think it's to do with, let's just say it's to do with kind of like, don't want to rock the boat, because they feel like there's a bigger enemy out there, which is the big white bad man, the racist white man. So what they're doing is like trying to say, okay, we're on this boat, let's not rock it, even though on the boat there's a rapist on there. So, don't call the rapist out, don't worry, ignore him. So I'm not saying that, the rapists in the community. I'm saying that the grooming epidemic is real. I know directly because one of my own relatives in 2010 was groomed, and all the perpetrators were definitely Muslim by name, but I think 4 of them are Pakistani. The one was probably, I think, from India or something. And so I've seen it. I've heard hundreds of stories about the grooming of especially of Sikh girls from the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that. Whether it's happening today, it's a bit more questionable because the spotlight has been put into it so much. We do know when it comes to white girls in these northern towns that it was on an epidemic scale. And when you're looking at the perpetrators, the majority of them come from like a Pakistani background, and that's undeniable. Nobody can deny that. and if you don't address it, it's just going to get worse. And the Sikhs in the Sikh community that are saying there's not an issue and nothing's going on, in my opinion, you're either lying or you're deluded. Either way, I think you're totally wrong.
That's great. Thank you for that, Raj. India is called the rape capital of the world. Why do you not speak about this more often?
I mean, India, has a big problem with rape and lots of stuff, including poverty and all this kind of stuff. Now, when it comes to India, like with the rape situation, now, as much as it's abhorrent what they're doing and it's evil, I am in the UK, and so my concerns is going to be what's on my doorstep as of now. And one of the things on my doorstep, which happened, like, something that directly affected me years ago, is something that, still kind of like, is on my mind and stuff, because I've seen the damage it can do. And so as much as I'm concerned about what's happening in India, that is a much bigger problem that is not something I can resolve just by highlighting it. That issue in India is an issue of culture, of misogyny, of cinema, because obviously the cinema, they used to show, like, Indian girls running away going, no, 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 don't touch me. And then they'd start kissing them, and, it looked like they forced them and stuff. So it's a very, let's just say, kind of misogynistic kind of culture. And that's something that, as much as I can highlight, there's 1.3 billion people in India, and it's thousands of miles away. The UK is where I'm living. And so I have to be concerned about what's going on here first. What is happening on the doorstep, and is it affecting my community? Now, remember, when the grooming epidemic happened, all of those people are brown people, most of them. And so, Sikhs who don't wear turbans, don't just look like them. So, they're tarnishing the whole Asian community, including the Bengalis, the Indian Muslims, the Indian Hindus and stuff, right? So the whole community, or the Asian community, has a right to sort of like, highlight that specifically, and to show that the real perpetrators are from a particular group within the Asian community.
That's great. Thank you. Tan exited Speaker's Corner in a dramatic fashion after he called a black man the N-word and a useless black man. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, Tan is probably the most problematic figure I've ever come across at Speaker's Corner, in the sense that, in hindsight, looking back, maybe I should have seen things. Now, the problem with Tan was this, that I knew Tan off camera, in the sense that the Tan on camera was like a character that he would put on. Now, I don't know if that was a real Tan, and the Tan I met in McDonald's, we used to go to McDonald's and sit down, or that was the real Tan, because the Tan that I would speak to, like, in a smaller group, was a very mild-mannered, very kind of articulate, very charismatic. Like, you want to listen to the guy. Some people have just got charisma, and people just want to listen to him. So that Tan never showed any racism that I'd ever seen. Like, what was weird about the group that went Speaker's Corner, that the group I was with, when you saw us in McDonald's, we were the most diverse group in terms of race, religion, and sexual orientation. There was gays, there was transgender, there was thingy, and all that, black people, white people, and all that. And so when he come back, because he went from Speaker's Corner, and then he come back a couple of months later, I did see a change in his behavior. He'd come back with and the way he looked, he'd come back with the spiky hair, tattoos all over the place. And still I didn't hear anything or see anything, because some of his followers, some of the people that he actually was close with, like Moses and all that, were black, and other people. One of the guys that was doing his kind of PR and stuff was a black guy. But something happened over a period of time where he felt that in order to get a reaction, he has to start attacking on a racial issue. And I don't believe Tan was racist, because I'd never heard anything up until that point, unless he was lying to me and he was hiding it. So yeah, I disagree with what he did. I think, as much as I'm a free speech kind of advocate, going around shouting N all over the place, as much as you're trying to push free speech, if you're not really a racist, then I don't understand why you did it, because I don't think he was a racist when I knew him.
That's great. Thank you. Do you regret supporting Tan?
All right, so let me explain why I supported Tan. Because in hindsight, his last behavior, yeah, kind of makes me go, okay, maybe I should have, because I fell out with him quite a while before he went on the let's say the crazy train, and so I fell out with him like at least 6 weeks prior to that, because he asked me to draw a drawing of Prophet Muhammad to prove my allegiance, and he always felt like I was weak, and I was like, no. So we did fall out. He stopped speaking to me and all that. Um, the reason why a lot of people were behind Tan when he comes Speaker's Corner, including myself, wasn't because we agreed with his ideology, but it's just the fact that this guy had balls of steel. And when he went into Speaker's Corner, he was standing up to the bullies. And at that time, we had, at the time when Tan turned up, Speaker's Corner was a real cesspit of thugs who, were threatening people with their lives and all this kind of stuff. We had Sarah Garby, we had got Osman Warning, we had all these other things, incidents over there, people trying to dominate the park through thuggery and, brute force. And so when Tan turned up, just shouting in people's faces, for me, as much as I disagreed with some of the stuff he said, I even pulled him up on it. And even once or twice, I thought he crossed the line legally and I had to check with the police. I kind of like appreciated someone coming in there standing up to the bullies. I did appreciate it. I was like, okay, this guy's really standing up to them. And so that was one of the main reasons why I kind of backed him up. But in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have been as overzealot, because I wasn't really 100% in with him anyway. But I just thought, all right, let me just support the guy, and if that means I have to say X, Y, Z to support him, yeah, I'll do it. So yeah, in hindsight, I probably would have been a bit more cautious.
Thank you for that, Raj. You just mentioned that Tan asked you to draw a cartoon of Muhammad. Why did you refuse as an artist?
Because firstly, as somebody that's an artist, and I'm also a Sikh as well. Like, if I was to draw, Prophet Muhammad in a derogatory way, then other people have the right to draw my gurus. Yeah, have every right to draw my gurus in a derogatory way. So for me, I'm not somebody that wants to disrespect their prophet in that way. Because for me, that's not that's not my business to do that. By art, my art, I want to use for productive ways. I want to be able to kind of show messages, and I didn't want to get myself caught up in this kind of like, okay, drawing Prophet Muhammad situation. And also, I wanted to live.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah,
Raj.
I wanted to live. Yeah, I don't want my head on the floor.
And just to remind all listeners, if anyone has any questions for Raj, can you please type them in the text chat on our platform here, and I shall read them out at the end of the interview. The website is www.speakerscorner.online. Please ensure you have the hashtag SEO in front of the question. Raj, we are now nearing the end of the interview. Before we move on to the Q&A from the audience, we just have two further questions for you. What type of legacy do you want to leave behind at Speaker's Corner?
I don't want to be known as like Bhai Jagrat Singh, which was one of the Sikh guys that went there, R.I.P. His legacy is like legendary at the part, just because he went there for such a short period of time, and he literally demolished everybody that come before him. My legacy, I don't want to be known as anything to do with Sikhism, in the sense that, although I'm a Sikh, I've never gone there to preach Sikhism. That's not my place. I don't think I'm in any way somebody that's, should be doing that, because I'm just not the person to do it. My kind of legacy would be that, I want to be known as somebody that, saw an issue, went through certain things, because I've actually even dealt with Hizb ut-Tahrir when I was younger, who was, like you said, is now a banned terrorist organization. And I've gone through stuff in my area and, my kind of life that, has molded me into the person I am. And one of the things is that I'm also concerned about let's just say the kind of like, how the UK is going to be in, 50 years. And I believe that, not having some unified kind of identity as a country is going to be very problematic. And I feel that, you know, when I went to Speaker's Corner, I wanted people to know that, yeah, I'm a Punjabi and I'm a Sikh and I'm proud of my Punjabi roots. I'm not English. Racially, I'm a Punjabi. I'm a Sikh as well, but I'm also British. And, you know, I want the best for the UK. I want Speaker's Corner to be able to be somewhere that, you know, people have expressed their views for 150 years, and they should still be able to do it in another 150 and another 1,000 years. And so my legacy I want is to show people that, you know, the UK is made up of a diverse group of people who have come from all over the world. And me as a British Punjabi Sikh, as much as I can disagree with the past of Britain and its colonial kind of interference in different countries, we're on this ship together and we need to move forwards. And the way to move forwards is to be unified in wanting the best for the UK, whether that's through, you know, economically, whether that's through security, whether that's through, you know, people's mental health and stuff like that. And, you know, being all disunited in the way it is, where people are hating the country they're in and they want to kind of burn it from within, is only going to be a disastrous kind of end result. Not for me, not for, you know, I've got no descendants at the moment, never too late, but for other people like my nephews and nieces, their kids. And so I hope when people watch the videos in future times, they'll build a statue of me. Yeah, everyone, you know, build a statue of me with Speaker's Corner. That would be my legacy. Yeah, I'm going to joke a little bit, but yeah, I want my legacy to be that, that, you know, as a Sikh, as a Punjabi and somebody who's British, I can be all three of them at once, and none of them are really conflicting with each other.
That's great. Thank you, Raj. Finally, if you were to organize a debate between you and one of the following people, which would you prefer? Ghost Speaker's Corner, Sir Faz, or Afghan?
Whoa, you got a right list of degenerates there. Which one? It's like asking me, you know, which piece of my stool, my piece of poo, would I want to flush? So go Speaker's Corner. What can I say about that guy? All I can say is being kind of like, we call the word bonking like a kutta, yeah, barking like a dog for 3 years. And he's a coward. He's a real life ghost. Somebody that can't show himself and floats around like he's possessed. That guy's not even in my same league. He can barely talk, let alone, you know, what I call kind of like, you know, have a debate. So he's out of the running. When it comes to Afghan, I hate with a passion, in the sense that this guy has done stuff and said stuff that I don't think debate is even in the question. I think with him, I'd have to go, yeah, let's just leave it at that. When it comes to Faz, do I have to choose one, or all of them I can reject?
You don't have to choose one. You can choose all three, or decline. You know, that's entirely.
Yeah, I mean Faz as well. What can I say about that guy? All I can say is that one of the biggest liars I've ever met. One of the biggest manipulators, slanderer, fake. What more can I say about that guy? But he can't debate either. So all three of them are, let's just say, they're like my stall in a toilet. All three of them, I'm going to flush you all. Yeah, you're none of you.
That's great, Raj. The interview has now finished. We're going
all right, that was quick. All right, an hour, man. Bloody hell.
We're now going to spend another maybe max 30 minutes just to go through some Q&A from the audience.
Yeah.
Would you like? Let's start with the first question. Would Raj debate Steve Speaker's Corner about religion?
Yeah, I would. I've had conversations with him. I think he's deluded in not believing in God. I do think atheists like Steve are sometimes just as fundamentally deranged as overzealously religious people. They have their own sort of what I call kind of belief structure around atheism, which has its own kind of like heroes and what you might call like leaders or prophets, you know, like you think of people like Christopher Hitchens and all of these kind of guys. And so, yeah, I would 100% like to Steve here. So Steve, man up, man. Don't be shook. Yeah, send him the link. Yeah, we'll do it one day.
We will do. What does Raj think of Mohammed Hijab?
Mohammed Hijab is, what can I say about that dude? I think he single-handedly has kind of like crippled Islam. in the sense that he's done some of the most stupidest things in the last year that has really damaged the Muslim community in terms of, like, having a conversation with Yasser Qadi about the holes in the Quran, attacking some ex-Muslims and, attacking their wives and trying to legitimize it by using Islamic hadiths, by saying, okay, so it's okay to attack people, mothers and stuff, and all of this stuff through religion. And that was very damaging. With himself, he's a very weird character in the sense that he's very big, and he's very touchy-feeling. Now, any advice I'd give to him is that stop touching people's shoulders. Stop kind of like, it's weird. He's done it to me, and I was quite traumatized. His hands like double the size of my shoulder, and he was massaging me like I was in a freaking parlor or something like that. Very odd guy, and he's very good with sophistry in terms of his wordplay, but he talks a lot of garbage. If I'm being honest with you, I was quite impressed with him in the beginning when I used to see him on YouTube, but when I met him and I started listening to what he's really saying, he's somebody that uses a lot of long words in order to kind of fool the public into thinking that he's smart and that he's somebody that is right, and he's not right most of the time.
Thank you, Raj. Does Raj actually think Ghost and Sir Faz will show up to fight him in the ring?
Oh yeah. So I'm still training, and I've turned into a bit of a monster at the moment. Like, the way I'm going, I could, like, start ruling the boxing ring. I'm only joking. But with both of them, no. Both of them are cowards, the definition of cowards. Both of them can't even show their face, let alone step into a ring. So with those two, the only thing they should do if they want in a ring is clean the floor or polish my shoes. There's nothing else they can do in there. And so for both of them, they're the definition of what I call cowards. Both of them are people that I have no respect for. Both of them are people that, in real life, probably hide in the shadows and, cry when someone boos at them, but they try to act like some kind of big men on the internet, but they can't show their face, they can't show their name, they can't do anything apart from be real ghosts. Ghost, you're a real ghost.
Do you enjoy boxing training?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad I started. It's probably one of the best decisions I made. Obviously, it come from a bit of a negative space because the guy Ghost was like threatening me for a long time, and then one day somebody just said, "Okay, why don't you box him?" And I was like, not as a joke, I was like, "Okay, why not?" And now I've started. I'm really enjoying it. I'm exercising, I'm jogging, and I enjoy kind of like getting myself up to a standard where I can kind of move about and be able to kind of defend myself. And overall, it's been, for me, probably one of the best decisions I've made throughout this coronavirus, including the other good decision was to start drawing in color. So obviously I'm drawing black and white, but I went to color as well. So those two, I don't think would have happened without the coronavirus because everyone was stuck indoors. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really enjoying the boxing and stuff.
That's great, Raj. Will Raj ever stand for election and become an MP?
Look, man, I think for myself, I should rule the country. Like, forget about MP. Like, I should go straight to the top job, get right in there and sort this country out. I would be like the kind of like the captain of the Titanic. Oh no, not the Titanic. Obviously, I don't want to crash the UK, but I think you need a strong leader. Now, for me, I would love to go into politics. I used to be part of the Labour Party. I was very ingrained in the Labour Party movement. I used to canvass, which is go to people's doors. I used to stand outside polling stations. And so I got an understanding of the whole thing works. But the problem with politics, it's a very nasty place where I think that the machinery of government just wouldn't fit with me because I would want to do the right thing and do what I think is right. And unfortunately, I would probably be stopped at all points. But yeah, could I become an MP? Yeah, why not, man? Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Do you secretly enjoy the Speaker's Corner drama you create?
For me, it's not that I enjoy it, in the sense that, I'm not sitting there going, okay, I'm loving this. For me, I like to be kind of like challenged in my kind of thing. I like to be challenged, and some of the stuff that's happening to me, although negative, is kind of challenging mentally. Like, And so for me, kind of like test how robust I am. Can I take X, Y, Z kind of like pressures? And although I don't enjoy it in the traditional sense, I would equate it to a bit like sadomasochism, where although it's not pleasurable, it's kind of like a weird kind of enjoyment of knowing that one little Sikh guy in East London, some weird guy, has literally put my whole house into your head, and I'm sitting there with my feet up with a remote control, dancing to Bhangra around your head, and I'm just loving it. And so that kind of thing is something that I find hilarious when I see streams upon streams of people talking about me. I'm not gonna lie, when I switch on a stream and they're just talking about me like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm sorry, it's a kind of an ego boost. It's like, oh, all right, yeah, okay, yeah. So in a weird way, I do enjoy it.
Great, thank you, Raj. What's your opinion about the Wall Street bets on the news?
I actually don't know anything about that. So the Wall Street bets, I haven't actually heard it. So it's probably a question that, who asked that question? Come on, dude, you know who you're talking to. I'm not into this kind of like in the Wall Streets and stuff like that. So no, I don't really know anything about it.
Thank you, Raj, for this interview. Thank you for your honesty, and thank you for joining Speaker's Corner Online. I am told you have received a cash donation tip for £23.
Oh, wow. Wow, well done.
We shall contact you in regards to paying that over to you.
Yeah. All right, yeah, well done. I think the sites are much better than I was assuming. No offense. Your team has been spamming my thingy, and I was like, okay, who is this kind of like team? And normally when people spam, it's quite annoying. But I have to say that I'm actually quite impressed with the interface as a designer. Somebody that designs, I do like good interfaces, and it is very easy to use and stuff. And yeah, and if you can grow the platform, I think you should. But I am a bit concerned. Like, are you really a Speaker's Corner free speech platform? Because I'm going to test it to its limits.
Yes, we are.
All right. Well, don't start crying when I break it.
Don't worry, we won't.
Okay. All right. Big up to yourself, everyone. Thanks everyone for listening. And if you allow me to use the thingy, the audio, I'd really appreciate it. And I'll put a link to it in the bottom. Thanks everyone for listening. And yeah, I really enjoyed it as well.
Thank you, Raj, for your time. And that concludes the... Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. What do I do now? Do I just...
Yeah, you can stay in the debate room if you like.